Mm. We're going to dive in again to the topic of the Brahma Viharas. And what I'd like to focus on this morning is using the tools of yoga to help us really access one of the forms of compassion for one of the forms of vulnerability that I was talking about a couple days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I mentioned that there are several forms of vulnerability and that's the power emotion at the first chakra. One of those forms of vulnerability is this feeling of our interconnectedness to everything and everyone, and our kind of like puniness, how teeny tiny we are and how massive the cosmos is. Another form of vulnerability that we're going to look at today is the sense that as we're growing and evolving, we are actively outgrowing who we have been, the limitations of that. And sometimes we're outgrowing some of our relationships or the rhythm with our civilization or our society. We're outgrowing protective mechanisms and adaptations that we have used to navigate the uncertainties of life. So we're outgrowing one thing, coming into another. And sometimes that vulnerability, particularly in relationship, is the uncertainty about how those relationships will then unfold. Of course, we value relationship. We are primed for that at the first chakra. So we can feel timid about progressing or continuing if there's a sense that it will threaten a relationship. Or we could feel compassion for the part of us that has that, the ache in the heart for connection, but also the part of us that has the ache in the soul for authenticity or for expression, to keep evolving. There is a kind of bind there. And we're talking about it in my Hunger, Hope, and Healing community, looking through the lens of Erickson's work and some other theorists about these things, but really looking through the lens of the chakras. We're meant to evolve to the second chakra. And yet we can sometimes find ourselves holding back because we value connection so much that we choose that over this authenticity or this evolution of ourself. And it's not like a cognitive choice all the time. Sometimes it's a neurological reflex. So today I'd like to look at how we have compassion for the part of us that's going through this process and that feels the tenderness and the ache of that. But that compassion promotes us to keep growing, to keep opening. And what I have seen is that the relationships around us that also choose to evolve, they go with us. Sometimes not in the very same time step. Sometimes the dance steps are a little bit off, but there's a point where you realize you can't not grow. So compassion for the bind that we find ourselves in. And if we've been the one who somebody else was growing, evolving, and we were stuck and we felt, oh my gosh, they're leaving us behind. Compassion for that part of ourselves too. So let's take a comfortable seat, please. And of course, if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to ask me after the practice. You may understand better what I'm pointing to. So please rest your hands in your lap and close your eyes or bring your gaze down towards the floor. Allow your breathing to help you to settle in here. Release any unnecessary tension in the belly so that fundamentally you can have this like allowing of the breath to come to support you. And connect to that in you, that little spark that has you coming to a early morning yoga class if you're on the West Coast or in Alaska. That thing that has that spark that brings you to class in the middle of the morning or the middle of the afternoon if you're in a different time zone. You're like, I have to go to yoga class. That spark that wants you to grow. Connecting to that. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax your mind and your body. And then please join your hands together at your heart. We'll chant this morning Sahana Bhavatu. You haven't experienced the friction of what I'm talking about. Um, you can have compassion for those who are. With your hands at your heart, you can bow your head. Please release your hands and open can say for myself that I have experienced that friction many times in my life where there's a sense of a growth surge I wasn't expecting. I was going to go on a retreat with a teacher and just feel better about my life. And then, oh, lo and behold, that growth surge was something much bigger than that. Let me just change this view, please. There we go. And so surprisingly, what happened next was some of my relationships felt strange or altered by this growth surge that I hadn't planned on and didn't know how to navigate very well. So that may be happening for some of you. Each of us is in a different sort of place on the path of yoga. So our time schedule is different, but just in the event that you have had that kind of process, I think it's really helpful to have a sense that you're growing in a direction that's going to, it's going to help you be like a larger oak tree. You'll have more to offer to more people as you stay on the path of yoga. It's not that you're leaving people behind. It's that maybe they see this expansion in you or this growth in you, and there's a sense that they too want to come along. So this morning, I'd like to have a longer pranayama meditation at the end of our class. And so we're going to move to, I just have to get my hair off my face. We're going to move to our practice now, starting with quadruped. So please come to your hands and knees. And when I say we're going to move to our practice now, we were already practicing. I should say we're going to move to asana now. So come over to your quadruped position, please. Place your hands so they are shoulder width apart. Point the index fingers straight ahead and the other fingers can fan out from there. And then inhale to cat pose and feel into the back hemisphere of your body. And exhale to cow pose. Bring your chest and heart forward. Open your throat, please. Inhale to cat. Using the Ujjayi breath. Exhale to cow pose. For now, use the Ujjayi breath. And then inhale to cat pose again. We're going to be using a hum sound to go about halfway back to child's pose. Hum. Inhale, roll forward to cat pose. Make the back of the body broad. Exhale forward to cow pose using the Ujjayi exhale. Inhale to cat. Broaden between your shoulder blades, the back of your diaphragm, the sacrum. Going towards child's pose. Hum. Inhale, cat. And exhale, cow pose. Curl your toes under and rise up to downward facing dog pose. When you raise up to downward dog, stretch your arms firmly, enthuse the triceps, and stay with the Ujjayi breath now. And see if you can balance the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. So in that process, it's helpful to kind of quiet the senses from the outside world and really focus in the inner world. To pace the inhale and exhale to be equal, there is a light bit of counting there, a little bit of math. Rest your gaze between your big toes so your mind has a place to quiet itself down. The eyes kind of govern sometimes the activities of the mind. And then you can just lightly count without evaluating or analyzing yourself. And then exhale and come forward to plank pose. Inhale, reach backwards, downward facing dog pose. Excuse me. And now hum forward to plank pose. It's the tone that has to bring into the lower belly. Inhale, raise your pubic bone and tailbone high as you reach back to downward dog pose. Once more, hum forward to plank pose. Notice the deep inner abdomen just above the pubic bone. And then again, inhale, reach your hips high, downward facing dog pose. Place your gaze back between your big toes, and with straight elbows, walk one hand at a time backwards into Uttanasana. So press down firmly with each little hand step so you're walking backwards to greet your legs in Uttanasana. And in your Uttanasana, place your feet to their hip distance apart. Inhale, glide your heart forward, open your throat like you do in cow pose. Exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Again, inhale, glide forward. We're going to use the hum sound to go to Uttanasana. Hum. Do that again. So using a hum is going to make your exhale quite a bit longer than your inhale. Hum. Please shift your hands to your hips and rise up to standing. When you come to mountain pose, relax the breath completely. And just notice the benefit of a few minutes of breathing, humming, and stretching. I'm going to step into Surya Namaskar, and I am able to join you for most of the practice now. I just need to bring my chairs onto my yoga mat. One moment, please. So in Surya Namaskar, which is a familiar practice for us, I'm going to ask you this morning to pay special attention to keeping the inhale balanced with the exhale. And that does mean like a little bit of math. You're going to be practicing a little bit of math. Join your hands to your heart, please. Press into all 10 toes. Root your heels. And engage from the base of your pose up into the pelvis, into the pelvic basin. And with the tailbone rooted, lift inner body, so even the rib cage should feel light above the hips and pelvis. Widen your shoulder blades and your collarbones. Reach up through the crown of your skull. And then using the Ujjayi, lightly count the inhale and the exhale. Deliberately take your time. So you're not rushing yourself. You're going to be preventing urgency and impatience. Remember the phrase, Ma vidvesha vahayi. May we not feel impatient or intolerant along the way. So inhale the hands down, pacing, rise up. Exhale, come to chair pose. If you were a part of the weekend lessons, remind yourself about how the block and the strap supported you in chair pose. And inhale, rise up, upward hands pose. Look up at the top. And exhale, bow forward and come down to Uttanasana using blocks or the floor, or in my case, the lower rungs of the chair. Inhale, glide your heart forward, open the throat like cow pose. And exhale, bow deeply towards your legs. Once more, glide forward, gently counting the pace of your inhale to be your own. And then exhale, step your left toes straight back. Root down through your right heel and inhale, rise up into your crescent. And let's stay for several breath cycles. So really you're stabilizing in the core of the pose and the foundation, and then just let the breath be your practice. So listening for inhale, exhale to be equal. This kind of focus is going to deepen your concentration and also helps to monitor the impatience or urgency that we can get caught in. Now, keeping your legs very stable, as you exhale, reach your torso forward, slide your right arm back so it becomes a cross crawl pattern. We did this yesterday in the 10 o'clock class. And then inhale, root from your right hip to your heel to rise back to your crescent. And exhale, repeat that. So you're coming forward with the left arm and back with your right arm. Inhale, glide back up. And again, it's at the pace of your breath. So you won't be synchronized with everybody in the Zoom room. You're going to be synchronized with yourself. And that's based on your breath rhythm and capacity today. Keeping the outer right hip toned and your knee lined up with your third toe. Come up one more time. And then exhale, see if you can take both arms forward. Keep the base of your pose really stable. Lightly touch the floor or the blocks or the rungs of the chair, and inhale your back foot forward to meet your front foot. And then exhale for a deep bow towards the legs, counting the length of your exhale. Inhale, glide your heart forward. So don't forego the rhythm of the breath for some other part of the practice. When you exhale, take the right toes back. The rhythm of the breath, that is your practice right now. With your next inhale, rise up to your crescent. And then staying for several breath cycles where you really just get to simmer, like you're steeping the tea. Each breath cycle is fresh. There is a kind of ongoing freshness moment to moment. If we're just counting the breath, there's also a kind of simplicity. You're simplifying what your mind and your life need to pay attention to right now. When you next exhale, glide your torso forward and take the left arm back. And then inhale, sweep your left arm forward as you rise up into your crescent. We'll do this about 4 times. So following your breath pace and also your physical capacity. You may not be synchronized perfectly with anybody else in the Zoom room, but to be in rhythm with your breath and your body is also to be in rhythm with the divine, with that you might call spirit or your body intelligence. Please do this one more time. Rising up with one more inhale. Keep your front heel very grounded. And as you exhale, reach your torso and both arms forward and come over your front leg. And then inhale and step your back foot forward to meet your front foot. Again, keeping the rhythm of the exhale, bow deeply over the legs. And then inhale, please rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And there is your exhale pace still counting. So the breath is kind of like your inner supervisor, actually keeps you from going too fast or getting too distracted or wandering away. And now we're going to add warrior 2 to the sequence. So inhale the hands down, take them wide, rise up. Bend your knees, chair pose, Utkatasana. Rising up. In your own timing, Uttanasana, keep the inner arches and inner thighs toned. Glide your heart forward, pacing with your inhale. Left toes back. The base of the crescent. Inhale, rise up to your crescent. Exhale, bow forward, left arm forward, right arm back. It's like aiming an arrow. Inhale, bring your right arm forward alongside your left, rise up. And then exhale and rotate into warrior 2. You turn your right hand skyward, inhale, rise up with your right arm. Nice job. Exhale, make it level. As you inhale to rise up, root into both heels, lift the inner arch and the inner thigh of the left leg. When you exhale to level off, remind yourself, lift the pubic bone, lift the right low belly and left low belly together. Let's do it again, please. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale and windmill your arms over your front leg without wobbling at the knee. And follow your inhale to step forward. And exhale for a deep bow to your legs. Inhale for your pace to come forward. Exhale, take your right toes back. Inhale, rise up to your crescent. Very nice. Exhale, reach forward, take the left arm back alongside your torso, right arm forward. And then follow your inhale, so you're raising both arrows high. And exhale, rotate to warrior 2. And in your rotation, keep the left knee shining straight on. So that's an essential thing, is that you're not wobbling through the left leg. And then turn the left hand skyward, inhale to go up. Exhale, level that off. Keep the right inner arch and right inner thigh lifted. Inhale, rise up. Lift the pubic bone up. Exhale, level off. So the rib cage is lighter, not heavier. One more time. At the pace of your inhale to go up. And then exhale and windmill your arms over your front leg. And inhale, step forward with your back foot to your front foot. Enjoy the exhale at your pace to Uttanasana. Again, pacing as you inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands to your heart. And then pause in mountain pose. Let the effort of the breath go, but notice the quality of the concentration that was required. What does that offer to your mind and your heart now? breath is acting a little bit like, let me say, your supervisor or your chaperone, also your mediator between your physical body and your mental body. And this is really important internal training for us to rise up to the heart chakra, to have this experience of compassion. We need the internal training so the mind doesn't wander into its many myriad mental habits. And those mental habits, we say in the psychology of yoga, in the Bhagavad Gita, they're at the third chakra, the 100 cousins. All these mental habits, the vrittis, the ways in which we can generate problems for ourselves. And so we're doing mental training to organize the inner life, that when you then arrive in the heart, you're not being harassed by your own thoughts. So now, keeping that pace steady, if you imagine the breath is your mediator, it is your supervisor, let it be a benevolent mediator, a kind supervisor. We're going to add to the sequence. Okay, so Ujjayi, again, balancing your inhale with your exhale. Inhale, hands down, turn your palms forward. Using the strength of the Ujjayi breath, also tone your legs, look up at the top. Exhale, come down to chair pose, bend both knees, keeping the knees hip distance apart. Recall that when we had a strap on the thighs the last couple days, we pressed out against the strap, and that was toning the outer hips. Okay, when you exhale, bring your left arm down between the knees and right arm to the right, twist right. Inhale, return to chair pose. Exhale, twist left. So you're going to keep the legs totally steady. Inhale, chair pose. Keep the pace of the breath also completely steady. So you're at your pace, not mine. Follow your inhale to return to chair pose at your timing. And do one more twist, this time to the left. Return to center with your inhale. And then exhale and bow over your legs and come into Uttanasana, root into your heels and your toes. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Exhale, step back with your left toes. Press into your right hand and inhale, twist to your left. And then exhale, return your left hand to the block. Now let's see if we can do it without the force of the right hand being required on the floor or the block or the rung of the chair. So what we're going to do is inhale, twist to your left. And then exhale and aim your right arm forward. And then inhale, rise up to your crescent. Exhale, open to your warrior two. Inhale, rise up with your arm, left arm. And exhale, windmill over your left leg. Inhale, step forward with your back foot, bring your heart forward. And exhale to bow deeply towards the legs. Let's do the other side. So inhale, glide your heart forward. Exhale, take your left toes straight back. Press into your left hand and inhale, twist to your right. And then exhale and come down. Now see if we can plan that you're going to be picking up your support arm. So inhale, twist to your right. And exhale, reach your left arm forward. And then inhale, rise up to your crescent. And exhale, warrior two. Inhale, rise up with your front arm. And exhale, windmill over. Keeping the pace consistent, inhale, step your back foot forward to meet your front foot. And take a deep bow over the legs with your exhale. Root your heels, inhale to rise, upward hands pose. Exhale, hands to the heart. Now keeping it consistent, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, and let's slow it down by about 1 count. Exhale, chair. Left arm down, inhale, twist right. Exhale to center. So you might be moving the same quantity of air, but a little bit slower. Just by 1 count, you could try that. Return to your chair pose. I'll rise up, upward hands pose. Exhale, bow forward, increasing the pace, but now keeping it consistent. So you added 1 count, and we're going to maintain that as we move through. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Okay, let's exhale, take the right toes back. Inhale, twist left. Exhale, right arm forward. Root your outer left hip and heel, rise up, crescent. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, rising warrior. Now exhale, side angle pose, Parshvakonasana. We're going to stay in the side angle pose for several breath cycles. So you can place your left forearm on your left knee. You could place your left hand on a block. You could place the left hand on a chair. See if you can maintain the length of the breath and the balance between inhale and exhale. Keeping the left inner thigh long, left outer hip strong. As you exhale next, roll down. And then inhale, step your back foot forward. And exhale for a deep bow over the legs. Inhale, glide your heart forward at your pace. So we've added that 1 count, see if you can sustain that. Exhale, left toes back. And inhale, twist to your right. And then exhale, see if you can add your left arm reaching forward. Follow your inhale, slow and steady with confidence to rise up to your crescent. And then exhale to your warrior 2. Also slow and steady with confidence. Inhale, rising warrior. And then exhale, Parshvakonasana. So rest your forearm on your thigh or your hand on your chair or on a block. Remind yourself that the breath is like a mediator there between the body and the mind, a kind supervisor, a wise chaperone. And as you next exhale, lower your left fingers down to the chair, the floor, the block, and then inhale, step forward, heart forward. And exhale for a deep bow to the legs. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, keeping pace as you come back down to the heart. Notice what it's like for you to have added one count to the breath. Pardon me for a moment. Please come down to the floor with your yoga strap and a block close by. So one of the things that we've been working on is really getting a sense of the intrinsic core established in the pelvis. And to do that, we're going to practice again Salambasana. So we're going to put a block between the feet. We're going to use a blanket this morning in addition. The strap's going to be like this. And make a loop in the strap, please. The loop is going to end up being shoulder width apart. So if you don't have a strap, you could hold something else that lets your hands be in the loop at shoulder width. Okay, so you've got those two things, and then reach for a blanket. And let me suggest that you take one blanket folded in this long, narrow position and lay it down your mat like this. Okay, so what you were just working with in terms of keeping the breath steady, in terms of working with all of that, it is a mental practice. You're using the physical asana for that mental practice. And the same is going to be true here. You're going to use the physical practice for the mental practice. So since we're going to add support to it, I hope it highlights the inner strength that we need. I also hope it doesn't give you a sense that you could fall into like grasping or craving. It's not, the yoga poses are not more important than your inner experience with your mind. So you're going to be lying down on the blanket so that your pubic bone goes here. The pelvis is on the blanket, the heart, and then the head. So place yourself so that the block is going to be between your feet on this flat setting like this. Put it between your ankles. And then lie on your stomach with your yoga strap close by. So the pubic bone goes on the edge of the blanket. It is touching, and you can squeeze the feet against the block and feel the inner thighs lighting up. And with the pubic bone on the edge of the blanket, you can take the tailbone down towards the pubic bone. You should feel some tone at the outer sides of the hip, the back of the pelvis, but also that your thighs and your knees can be on the floor. Reach back with your strap. Turn your palms to face each other. So you're set to go. You can rest your forehead down for a moment. So we've got the tops of the feet, the kneecaps, the inner thighs, the tailbone, the outer hips, the lower back should feel broad. Take your shoulders and squeeze them up away from the floor. You can squeeze your wrists out against your strap and rise up to Salambasana. So with all of these supports, if your Salambasana goes higher, try to celebrate, but also remind yourself that the focus is going to be keeping the breath equal. And you have an evenness of the breath here in Salambasana. Means we have to slow down the mind. Accept the rising and descending of the pose that goes with it. Remind yourself, Ma Vidvishavai. Practice keep us from intolerance or impatience or aversion. And as you next exhale, you can lower down Put the strap aside, turn your head to one side, and relax entirely. Notice, of course, that your body takes care of the echo in the pose. Don't let the mind wander off into those unhelpful habits. And then let's re-engage the feet against the block. Reach for your yoga strap to put around your wrists. Tone the inner thighs. Root your tailbone, center your head. And with your inhale, rise up and try to do about 5 breath cycles where they're equal between your inhale and your exhale. It's the real practice in non-grasping, non-clinging, non-impatience. Do more breath cycles, please. And place the yoga strap aside. Turn your head to the other direction this time. And then place your hands beneath your shoulders. Press yourself up to table and then back to Vajrasana, to kneeling. Notice your body navigating the echo of the practice. And now please take 2 blankets, fold in the same manner, like this. And this stack of 2 blankets can feel a little bit steep on the side where they're both connected. So you can pull the top blanket a little bit forward and curl it down, like, an inch or 2 forward. So you can make a little curve of the blanket towards the floor. And then sit in front of the blanket, not on it. I'll move mine better onto the camera. Take your 2 blocks to either side of your knees. Lie back so the blanket first supports you at the top of your sacrum, the bottom of your lumbar spine. Take the 2 blocks for the knees and reach up to the top blanket. Make a little curl for your neck and your head. So you come into, this is called Supta Baddha Konasana, the supine reclined, bound, Baddha, angle, Kona, Supta Baddha Konasana, the reclined, bound ankle pose. We will use this one for Shavasana today. So as you come into it, let the breath now, without any impedance, there's no pressure on the abdomen. Can you do about 3 breath cycles where the inhale and exhale are equal? And possibly you add one count again from where you were in your last sun salutation. You may be moving the same quantity of air, but slower. Allow it to be a very subtle form of the breath. Same quantity of air, but slower. Each inhale and exhale beginning at the pelvic floor. The end of about 3 of those kind of breath cycles, then allow yourself to completely relax. Let all of the efforts of your practice fade for now. So you're resting in the inner echo, the medicine of your practice. Deeply relax the space between your eyebrows, from the corners of your eyes over your temples, and the space behind your eyes. Release the effort of your cheek muscles. And as you can, soften the hinge of your jaw. The eyes and the space surrounding the eyes to remain at ease. Loosen the hinge of your jaw now and let the tongue get heavier at the bottom of the mouth. Invite the lower jaw to go slack more and more. The eyes and the jaw really relax, and allow your heart to become heavy with relaxation, a deep quality of ease. Let the shoulders drop back towards the floor. The arms and hands, fingers and thumbs can be deeply at rest. The solar plexus and the floating ribs also to melt down, and for there to be greater and greater ease in the stomach and all the organs in the abdomen. As you arrive back down in the pelvic bowl and the pelvic basin, let there be tremendous ease. No sense of urgency or haste. No sense of impatience or intolerance. No sense of clinging nor grasping. Not needing things to be different. Travel down deeper than that to the pelvic floor. Invite there to be a quality not only of safety now, but of trust. Trusting in the process. With a sense of trust at the base. Let the breath gently return. And please make a thoughtful transition from resting. The knees can come back up to center, and you can transition back to sitting, please. Come to your seat now. We're going to do a chanting practice we did over the weekend several times. We also did it in our Friday night Dharma time. And this is intended to bring us to that place where there's an experience of compassion. It's spontaneous. It doesn't need us to cultivate it. We are remembering it. This is a familiar practice for lots of you. Bring your hands to the first chakra, please. Coming down to the base, the root chakra. May our apprehension be resolved. May a deep sense of trust be restored. Lam, 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 lam. 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 Second chakra. Any sense of vacillation, craving, aversion be resolved. Maybe rest in the sense of intimacy with all life. Wam, 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 wam. 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 Third chakra. Our unhelpful mind patterns be resolved. May we rest in the willingness for life to come through us. Even this internal power, larger than us, but coming through the power and presence of grace, our consciousness. Ram, 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 ram. 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 Fourth chakra. May our shyness be resolved as this immense love or compassion wants to come through us. May we not be faint-hearted in this case. Yum, 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 yum. 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 Chakra. Any sense of harshness in our voice or any sense of blocking the voice, may that be resolved. May we be able to speak with clarity what is most true. Hum, 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 chakra. Placing the fingers over the eyes, the sound of Om 3 times, while you also close the ears. Om. Slowly release the Brahmari. Rest in the silence of the mind, the natural and full compassion of the heart. See yourself as a wave on the ocean, a journey, coming back home to the ocean. The dedication, abhyasa, to our practice and that which unfolds from our practice. Not be in charge of the timing of others in our lives. We need not feel separate from them. When the wave returns to the ocean, it is all of the waves. Your hands to your heart. First chakra, we realize that our vulnerability is a strength, it's a value. We may grow on the path of yoga through that vulnerability. We don't grow past the timing that we can integrate. We don't become aloof or disregarding of others. We don't break the deep moral commitment we have for the tribe. Even if our timing for growth is different than the timing for someone else. From the fourth chakra, we can have this compassion towards ourselves for the struggle that may bring us to. A little bind may still be there. Thank you all very much. Thank you for being here. Namaste. And many blessings on your day. See the chat bigger. Sorry that you couldn't hear in the beginning. I'll have to check the system. Thank you, Shannon, for your lovely note. You must have been typing on a phone or something. So I know that for many of us, I'm going to stop our recording here. For many of us, when we're new on the path of yoga, we didn't realize we might have this enormous growth spurt. We might have been like prepared by the suffering of our life. We say, Hatha yoga nusasanam. After much preparedness, now the yoga begins. And we may not have realized that a certain amount of suffering was the butter was being churned. The friction was there. And in the process of then arriving on the yoga mat, this compassion, this growth was a growth that we may not have expected. And so in that way, we may surprise ourselves where we are on the path. And it's okay to be surprised. Don't become faint-hearted. And it might also be where that bind first comes in when you're newer to the path of yoga, that sense that if I grow like this, what will happen for my existing friendships, my existing tribe? What's going to happen for my relationships if I actually take if the process takes me, if I'm grown like this, what will happen? So I am suggesting that you trust in the process. At the first chakra, we have this imperative to trust. So let's trust in the process as best as we can. And also look to others who may have moved through those stages of their yoga, perhaps many times, like we spiral around a mountain. And our Sangha is ever evolving, and our friendships, new and old, are also changed by our practices. So I'm sending blessings to all of you who have asked me about this thing of I'm growing, what will happen to my friendships and my relationships? You're in process on a beautiful path. What can happen may be more beautiful than you imagine. So with that in mind, I hope it's helpful today to hear these words for you.